We are back on sports. I want to say this. It's good to be back. It is. It's good to be back. And I want to say this also, all right? I wasn't back a day. It was like half a day. It wasn't even that. I wasn't back a day before I got sick. Like, you gotta be kidding me. So, understand today I'm kind of sick. So, if I'm coughing and everything, you have to understand that, just bypass all of that. And right now, even right now, I'm sweating like crazy. All right? I got a t-shirt and shorts on, and I'm sweating. I'm over here because I'm running fever. So, but this needed to be done today. It did. So we're going to get into this. I want to start off, and you know where I'm going to start off. I'm going to start off with Eagles-Packers. Or should I say Eagles versus refs at this point. First off, let's get something straight here. There is no way in hell, no way, that the Packers cannot get a single penalty. Not one penalty in the first half, the entire first half. Look, let's get something straight here, okay? There were 2 helmet-to-helmet shots on Mark Sanchez, not called, all right? Trent Cole, I swear, anybody, go back. I don't care if you're a Packers fan or not. Go back and watch the footage. Go back and watch the entire game, the entire first half. Watch just Trent Cole. Constantly being held, constant hands to the face. There was times Trent Cole had to try to turn away because the guy had his jersey, was pulling him, holding him, and carrying on, and hooked his arm and held him, and they never called it. They never did. The refs, we will talk about the refs later, okay? I want to get this out the way first about the refs, all right? The Packers did not get their first, their first in-game penalty. That's right, in-game, because, they got a penalty for celebration after the touchdown. Yeah, celebration after the touchdown. That was their only penalty. That's not an in-game penalty, all right? That's after the touchdown, all right? But Aaron Rodgers, in the third quarter, it was an intentional grounding. Clear intentional grounding. And what happened? It took all the refs to come together, because no one could just call it intentional grounding, right? No one could just call it. No. All right? They had to get together in a group, have a meeting, and then say, okay, that's intentional grounding. And as soon as that happened, Packers fans got mad in the stadium. Why are you getting mad? That is the first penalty that you have had in-game. Stop crying. Okay? That don't make no damn sense. Of course, late in the fourth quarter, then they want to start calling penalties for the Eagles. So, how can I put this? To fill the stat sheet. That's what it was. But we're not fooled. All right? 2 penalties. Maybe 3 penalties in game. The entire game. That's ridiculous. Don't tell me that the Packers played a perfect game. Because they didn't. On defense, they didn't. Alright? Offense, different story. Alright? Our secondary is trash. Jordy Nelson's just running all over everybody. Alright? I can't take anything away from the Packers offense. Alright? Jordy Nelson, this is pretty much what Aaron Rodgers did. Go up the sidelines, I'm going to throw it to you. It doesn't even need a play. Just go up there, I'm going to throw it to you. Alright? It's just like, street football. Run to the light. I'm going to throw it to you. That's what he did. Run to the street light. That's what he did. Because the secondary could not stop them. And because they started early that way, you have to understand that the Eagles defense are going to play back so they don't get burned anymore. And what happened? Once they started playing so far back, they started throwing slant plays. That's why you saw so many of them in the game. Because the Eagles are so afraid that they're going to get burned. And every time an Eagles player got burned, especially Kerry Williams, I kept thinking to myself, I wonder what his excuse is going to be this week. That's all I keep thinking. Every time he gets burned. It's crazy to see how this defense, I shouldn't even say the front seven. All right, I'm not going to say that. Secondary. They had their hands full. And you have to understand on our offensive side of the ball, Mark Sanchez, oh my God. Mark Sanchez, all right, let's get something straight here. Because it's been 2 weeks since I've done a video because I was away, I was at Florida. You have to understand, when people asked me, before we played the Carolina Panthers, they said, how do you feel Mark Sanchez should be? Should he be our franchise quarterback? I said no, he shouldn't. First off, you shouldn't even judge Mark Sanchez off of the Carolina game, I said. Did I not? I said his true test will be against the Packers. The team's test in general will be against the Packers. That's what you judge him on, not the Carolina Panthers. And what happened? They beat the Carolina Panthers, and the media started hailing Mark Sanchez as the franchise, the Sanchez. And then in the Packers game, Mr. Butt Fumble showed up. Yeah, and we saw that coming. And here's the sad part, all right? Mark Sanchez, in the beginning, I felt bad for him because those 2 helmet-to-helmet hits, they never called. So he was rattled, all right? I'm not going to hold that against Mark Sanchez. That's a shame. As far as I'm concerned, like I said, refs did not do their job. We'll come back to the refs later, okay? And I'm not just talking about the Eagles. We're talking about around the NFL, okay? But I felt bad for him then as the game progressed because, for those who don't know, Matt Barkley was warming up. He was getting ready to come in. So Mark Sanchez tried to tough it out. And then Captain Overthrow shows up. All right? Mark Sanchez is overthrowing All types of receivers, wide open receivers. I don't understand this. In a game where you have to keep up with the Packers, and we're talking touchdown for touchdown, we're not talking go down the field and kick a damn field goal. No, that's not going to cut it in this game. You need to score touchdowns. And that type of pressure on Mark Sanchez, that's the type of pressure he saw when he was with the Jets. And what happened? He failed with the Jets. And a lot of people are going to say, but he took him to an AFC championship in the first 2 years. Yeah, that's because people didn't plan for Mark Sanchez. As time went on, people got used to Mark Sanchez, and we saw what happened. And it happened in this game as well. Do not tell me on those interceptions, I swear, he threw it right to Julius Peppers. Here, take this. Take this. Interception for you. That's what he did. Okay? Also, I want to say this now. Okay? Second interception was even worse. Because when you're running backwards and you see pressure and you're throwing up your back, you jump up and you throw up your back foot, guess what? That's an interception. There's no reason for you to throw that ball. Take the sack. Or throw the ball away. You don't try to target a receiver. What's wrong with you? We've said this before about Nick Foles and every other quarterback. He has to take the responsibility as well. And then the worst thing that he could have did happened. The fumble. And this is always going to stick with me with Mark Sanchez. This is what I mean. He makes piss-poor decisions. Hell, even after the Panthers game, he didn't know whether to go to Pat Stakes or Geno Stakes. So he went to both because he's an indecisive quarterback. He's an indecisive individual. So understand, when that ball fumbled, what should have Mark Sanchez done? Anybody with half a brain will tell you, fall on the ball, take the sack. Fall on the ball, take the sack, so you don't have to worry about it. What do? Try to pick the ball up, missed it completely. The Packers got it and ran it back for 6. This is what pisses me off about Mark Sanchez. This is why I don't believe in Mark Sanchez. And a lot of you keep telling me, well, it's only a certain amount of games. You can't judge him. No. We've seen enough of Mark Sanchez throughout his career to say this is who he is. This is who he is. But it seems like nobody wants to talk about that. A lot of people tried to say, well, when Mark Sanchez was winning, maybe it was just a product of the Jets. It was the Jets franchise. Well, now you're seeing what happens when you go up against a good defense that has a week to plan for Mark Sanchez. This is not going to get any better. Now, granted, we have no choice but to ride with Mark Sanchez. And Matt Barkley must be a horrible quarterback for him not to get any type of time during a blowout. All right? Especially when your quarterback is taking 2 shots to the head. So Matt Barkley, nowhere near NFL ready. I can't believe that they wasted a draft pick on him. USC quarterbacks, though. This is ridiculous, man. Now, I'll put it like this. LaShawn McCoy, I can't defend him. That fumble was atrocious. It was. There was no reason for that because the Eagles actually came out kind of in momentum in the third quarter, right to start. But it seems like as soon as the fumble happened, that was it. Like I said, Eagles secondary was horrible. The defensive line, they tried. All right? But of course, with all the holding on everything, listen, there were no penalties called on the Packers. And I said this yesterday, I'll say it again. All right? This was a trap game. And when I mean trap, I don't mean playing a bad team and losing. No, I mean it's set up. They're setting us up for Eagles-Dallas. That's what they're doing. If you cannot see that, the Packers, don't tell me the Packers didn't have no damn penalties damn near all game. That is a setup. The Dallas was on the bye. That's what it was. They went the showdown. Even after the game on CSN, who are they talking about? They're not talking about the Packers. No. How could you imagine if Tony Romo was back there? And they're trying to talk about Eagles-Dallas. I'm thinking to myself, they do realize that we have to play the Tennessee Titans this week coming up, right? So everyone's just going to bypass the Titans and go right to the Cowboys-Eagles Thanksgiving game. That's crazy. You cannot do that. But it seems like that's what they want to do. Like I said, this is set up for Eagles-Cowboys showdown. And I know Cowboys fans are so happy that the Cowboys are back because you beat the Jaguars. Yeah, that was a tough game for you, huh? The Jaguars. You do realize, Cowboys fans, when you lost to the Packers, it wasn't the Aaron Rodgers. It was the Matt Flynn. Don't forget that, Cowboys fans. Just saying. It just seems like time and time again we see these things, and they're really hyping up. Skip Bayless is going to sit, and if those have not seen his fraud Twitter, all right, he will go against every team, that plays the Eagles. I'm sorry, he will root for every team that plays the Eagles. I've never seen so much ass kissing in my life. I'm sorry, but I am not going to root for this team, any team that plays against the Cowboys. I'm not going to do it. Certain teams in the division, I'll say, okay, yeah, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I'll say, Giants, go ahead and beat the Cowboys. But every team that is on the roster, or on the schedule, I should say, for the Eagles, you're going to, cheer for them. And then when the Eagles beat them, you say, oh, it was luck. Oh, it was a fluke. Oh, well, the Eagles aren't, they're not contenders. They're pretenders. It goes to show you just how much of a Cowboys ass kisser he is. That's what it comes down to. I don't understand why people even look at his Twitter. Like, you know how this goes. He got quiet, though, after we beat Carolina. He was quiet. He was like, I don't know what to say about this. Carolina's they're just bad. That's all you can say. And once again, Carolina, they lost again yesterday. The NFC South, I'm telling you like this, the NFC South, it's up for grabs. And I really think that the Saints are going to take that division. I really think they are. But the NFC South is up for grabs. All right, there's just a number of just bad games in general. The Bears won, but as we know, the Bears are inconsistent. The Packers won. The Lions got screwed by the Cardinals. Tell me, I want to show you right here, right now. All right, tell me how this is a first down. It's not. And I'll put it like this. Lions, Packers for the division. That's what's going on right now in the NFC North. That's all you need to know, okay? The Browns got routed, which is kind of actually hilarious, exactly who you were playing against. You gotta be kidding me. Seattle lost to KC, which is kind of like, okay, saw that coming, The 49ers, I don't understand how they survived the Giants, but then again, from an Eagles fan, Eli being Eli, throws 5 interceptions. So that's all. Giants fans are fighting, trying to get Jerry Reese thrown out, which he should have been going a long time ago if you ask me. All right, if you look at the Giants organization, all those picks that he had, those draft picks, where are they now? Most of them cut, I believe. So it just goes to show you that this is something that really needs to, they really need to work in New York on what's going on. It's just ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. I just don't understand how these type of things can happen. The Rams beat the Broncos yesterday, which was kind of a shock. I'm sure all of us thought it was kind of a shock because, when Peyton doesn't play well, they say, oh, it's just an off day, given the consistency of things. But once again, refs step in and make things worse than what they really are. It seems like these refs don't even understand what a good hit is these days. And I'm going to show you. Tell me how this is an illegal hit. And I want you to hear the commentary of, what the refs did when they didn't throw a flag. I'm sorry. They threw a hat. And what the hat means when you throw it in the game.
At the end of this play.
Out here midfield, Manning to throw. Separation. Oh, big hit. Sanders gets walloped by McLeod. Penalty marker on the play.
Now McLeod came over and they're going to say he hit a defenseless receiver trying to break up this pass.
Emmanuel Sanders is down.
He got hit, rocked there by McLeod. Let's see if McLeod leads with his helmet to helmet here. He leads with his shoulder. Now the question is, why does the official have his hat off? That usually signifies that the receiver stepped out of bounds and was the first to touch the ball coming back inbounds, as Sanders was. And there is a flag down along the Broncos sideline.
So a flag was thrown before the hit happens, then they throw their hat. Now you're going to say it's a bad hit on a defenseless receiver. So what's he supposed to do, let him catch it? No, it's a shoulder hit. It's a legit hit. Is he supposed to let him stretch out and catch the ball? No, you cannot sit here and call these things. And this is what I mean. The refs have no idea what is going on. It is ridiculous that they're sitting there, I'm going to throw a hat. Do you know even what it means? Seriously, there is not a bad hit in that. That's not a hit on the defenseless receiver. He's going for the ball. You're supposed to get hit when you know what I mean? What are you supposed to do? Like I said, try and bat it down. No, the guy's stretched out and diving. You get hit. That's simple. That's football. That part is football. You gotta let him play football. He got jacked up. Guess what? It happens. It happens. But you can't sit here and tell me you're going to penalize the guy for that. That's ridiculous. Like I said, if it's helmet to helmet or something, okay. But clearly, on that play, you can see he was not leading with his helmet. That is a clean hit. This is what I'm talking about the NFL. It is becoming such a joke. I mean, it's not a joke as much as the NBA is. But you got to be kidding. I understand you want to protect your players, but you cannot sit here and take away these type of things. When you do these things, guess what? How's secondary supposed to defend anybody? you call pass interference, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Pass interference is only favored to certain teams. That's right, because they can get away with it. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Mark Schlereth comes out and criticizes the Patriots-Colts game. That's right, on Twitter, because he was quite upset. If you didn't see his feed, he was quite upset of the way the refs were sitting and giving the Patriots every bit of leeway that they needed to win this game. And after Mr. Schlereth made those comments, of course, Patriots fans went after him. They did, all right? And of course, he battled with Patriots fans on his Twitter. He was like, you can't even, deny what's going on here. So it goes to show you that referees are being called, but of course, if it's against said team, then that team's fan base will be like, oh, no, you're against us, and it becomes a big fight for some reason, instead of looking at it for what it is. It's the refs. There's problems here this week, all right? They need to clean it up. And it's too far in the season. I shouldn't even have to say this far into the season to say clean it up. This should be something that's done already. How much do you need? You have preseason, and everyone said, well, you didn't get enough games in, so you got to give it about the first, maybe 5-6 games for the refs, as opposed to teams understanding who they are, their identity is, 7-8 games into the season, okay? So it goes to show you that it's an ongoing process. But the refs should have this down packed by now. And it's sad that we keep seeing this. It's ridiculous. But I want to get back to the players. Because, as we know, the Broncos, they lost. And I'm going to bring this up because Redskins fans, we need to have a talk. Again. Once again, now, since I haven't done a video in a couple weeks, there was reports that, once RG3 was named the starter again, back to the team had a problem with people in the locker room. And then we heard those reports were false. And we heard those fans were, standing by that and saying, well, it's not true. We're not going to believe the media. All right? And then what happened yesterday? RG3 throws his team under the bus for the loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's hear what he has to say.
Great quarterbacks, the Paytons, the Aaron Rodgers, those guys don't play well if their guys don't play well.
Wait a minute. RG3, understand, as a quarterback, as the leader of your team, you do not say something like that. You don't. All right? That's throwing your team under the bus, man. What you do is you take responsibility and say, it's my fault. When Peyton lost, what did he say? It's my fault, I gotta play better. When he lost against the Patriots, what did he say? I suck today, I gotta play better. Aaron Rodgers, when he loses, it's my fault. This is what it means to be the leader of the team. You are the quarterback. You are the one who gets blamed when you lose and praised when you win. You know how this goes. For you to throw your team under the bus like that is ridiculous. No way. There's reports now, I see a lot of people on Twitter also spreading rumors about Deshaun Jackson is saying that the entire roster is trash on the Redskins. They're just fighting left and right. And I'll say this, Redskins 11. Remember when you said Redskins fans were better than Eagles fans? Wait a minute. Remember when you said they were better than these fans? I want to talk about this for a minute. Because for those who did not see the game yesterday, all right, Redskins fans, guess what happened with them? In the third quarter, they booed the hell out of their team and walked out the stadium. That's what happened. So for you to say that Redskins fans are better than Eagles fans, there's something wrong with you. Like I said, I understand you was trying to get in their good graces when you got there, but it's over. The honeymoon is over now. This is what you're going to get. Now you got teammates fighting with each other. You've got your quarterback who everyone has already said, the locker room was mad at him. You just divided it even more, RG3. That's what you just did. So as far as I'm concerned, this is something that the Redskins fan base, if you haven't seen RG3's Twitter, Redskins fans are tearing him apart. They say they don't believe in him anymore. It's time to put up or shut up. There's no excuses anymore. Redskins fans are tired of this. And also understand that his option is coming up. All right, his fifth-year option. So we'll see if the Redskins hold on to him or not. I'm sure they will. Because they want to make it work. They paid so much. They gave up so much for him. They want to make it work. So Redskins fans, I would love to hear what you have to say on this issue. But understand that your quarterback needs to take some damn responsibility. Now, since it's been 2 weeks, about 2 weeks since I've done a video, I'm going to give you 2 Griffin Force flops of the week. And I'll put it like this, man. I've seen a number of flops throughout these couple weeks that I haven't been on here. And I just felt that the things that I've seen as of late, I picked 2 that were the most damaging to the sport as far as I'm concerned. So first, let's start with boxing.
That was another strange round. Uh-oh. And now, Pulev goes down.
He wasn't even hit. Look, if that guy would have connected with that punch, you just saw a completely different reaction to his body. And I'll put it like this as well. When your corner, if you look at the corner guy, he's like, lay down, lay down. Like, and he goes and lays down. This is a joke. This is a mockery to the sport. It is. All right? It's bad enough that you have judges scoring horrible fights. Now you have these type of antics. This hurts the sport in the history of those guys who have blood, you know, who have sweated and the tears, and they put everything, who have sacrificed for the sport. And you go and do something like that? Are you serious? That is horrible. You know, I want to talk about more mockery of the sport, man. All right? I want to talk about Klitschko versus Pulev. That's right. We'll talk about this right now. Now, before this gets started, I want to say this is a setup to Rocky 3. Now, for those who have never seen Rocky 3, please watch Rocky 3. I will explain what I mean. I understand I'm using the word setup a lot today, but I will explain everything, okay? Now, during this fight, Klitschko comes out in the first round, all right? Round 1, fight, you know, bell rings, ding. You would think that as any boxer we see, what do? They get their footwork going, they throw the jab, they try to feel each other out. What did Klitschko do? His first move ran right towards his opponent and grabbed him and hugged him. Like, what are you doing? Like, you gotta be kidding me. There's a reason why people are starting to call him Klitschko. It is a joke. If that's what you have to do in the first round, that's your first action in the first round, guess what? It's time to hang it up, as far as I'm concerned. You're fighting nothing but a bunch of bums. That's what you're fighting. I'll explain that. For those who know about the Rocky 3 reference, understand that this guy he fight, Pulev, he stood in one spot, stationary, just like the rest of the fighters he fought. Stationary, no footwork. I will give Klitschko credit. He's great footwork. I'll give him credit. But the guy's standing on spot. You can punch him in the face all day. All right? Seriously, jab to the right straight. However, Klitschko found a lot of success with the left hook. And also, I want to say this now. When Klitschko keeps doing this, pushing off, and the guy falls, that's not a knockdown. Yet the ref scored it as a knockdown. I don't care if he hits him first or not, and the guy's still hanging on, he pushes him, he falls, that's not a knockdown. But yet, refs, once again, still having this problem. You have to understand this fight was a joke. There was no reason for this fight. We know that Klitschko doesn't have a chin. We know this, all right? But this is what I mean about Rocky 3. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, because Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman, as much as I like these guys, there's times I have to think, y'all really need to shut up. Y'all need to shut up. Because throughout the entire fight, them and the commentators are talking about how Klitschko can be compared because it's his 10th, I believe his 10th title defense. Another Rocky 3 reference. They try to compare him to Muhammad Ali and Joe Louis. And they try to compare him to Larry Holmes. I'm thinking to myself, get out of here with this. All right? There's no way Klitschko in his prime, first off, he shouldn't be compared to any of those people. Klitschko in his prime could not beat any of those heavyweights in their prime. He wouldn't even be top 20. Could he beat Larry Holmes? No. Could he beat Ali? No. Could he beat Joe Louis? No. Could he beat Rocky Marciano? No. Could he beat Mike Tyson? No. Could he beat George Foreman? No. Could he beat Joe Frazier? No. The list goes on. Klitschko in his prime wouldn't even be top 20. He's fighting a bunch of bums. That's what it is to hold on to the title. Him and his brother at one point were sharing, we're going to hold the titles and no one else is going to touch them. It's ridiculous. So I will say this. Rocky 3, for those who don't know. Shannon Briggs, for those who have not kept up with Shannon Briggs and Klitschko, this feud that's going on, Shannon Briggs has decided that he's going to go everywhere that Klitschko is, all right, and call him out. Meaning, he's pulling a Clubber Lang. Every time Klitschko goes to a restaurant, what happens? Shannon Briggs shows up. You fool! You ain't never a paper champion! You don't want to fight no real man! That's what he does! Every time, even at the fight, Shannon Briggs was there in Germany at the fight. And after the fight, Shannon Briggs tried to get in the ring and challenge Klitschko, and the security was holding him back. Everywhere he goes to Klitschko's training facility and starts with him. You don't want to fight no real man. You don't want to fight me because you know I'm the real champion. You're not a champion. You're just a fool. Like, this is what he does. He's pulling a Clubber Lang. He's pulling a Rocky 3. And you know what? It's disrespectful to the sport, as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of people are saying that Shannon Briggs wants a payday. That's what people keep saying. He wants a payday. I don't think that's it, because if he needed money, he sure as hell wouldn't have money to fly to Germany, all right, to go see a fight that lasted, 4 or 5 rounds just to talk? No. This is FaceTime for him. He wants himself back in the limelight. I don't believe that he can beat Klitschko, but he keeps screaming that he's the guy who can beat Klitschko. He keeps screaming it. I don't think he can, but if that's the case, just fight him already and get over with, because that's what it is. It's grandstanding to get, I'll put it like this. At this point, all Shannon Briggs has to do is do like Clubber Lang did and talk about Rocky's wife. The same thing. Just talk about Hayden Panettiere. That's all you gotta do. You don't want no real man. Why don't you come over to my house and get a real man? That's all it is. That's all he got to do. And that will set Klitschko off. This is Rocky 3, if you have not understood this by now, in this rivalry. That's all it is. Now, of course, it's up to Klitschko whether he decides he's going to take that fight or not. Oh, my God. I just don't understand this. I really don't. But it seems like that's the thing to do these days. And it seems like it's the only way you can bring to some type of entertainment. And you know what? We've seen this not too long ago when it comes to entertainment value, when it comes to combat sports, hand-to-hand combat. Because, was it Bellator just not too long ago? With Tito Ortiz, was it Ortiz versus Bonner? They just fought, over the weekend. But if anyone saw the way this happened, they both got into the octagon, had microphones, they cut like a wrestling promo. Just to get, attention. And if anyone saw Bellator this weekend, the way the Titantrons was going on, the way the people came out, it was wrestling. It wasn't fighting, it was wrestling. It's sad. Same thing with boxing. When Klitschko, the way he came out, it was wrestling. And he credited Prince Nassim Hamed about this because he was the first one in boxing to try to bring that wrestling aspect to it, intros. But it's like, is this what you have to do to sell your fights? Because these are the same sports that look down on wrestling, but you're taking from them. It makes no sense. I don't understand it at all. And now we see Bobby Lashley in Bellator. He's fighting. But it seems like this is something that people, have to come to, expect now. When it comes to boxing, they've been doing it for boxing for a while. But it's the first time I've seen Bellator really go all out and pull a wrestling-style type introduction. It was really interesting to see. I thought it was pretty cool. Like, if you saw the way King Mo came out, I was like, yo, that's pretty cool. But you know what? You also got to remember where the roots of it came from. And it seems like that's the problem we're having. Also, more MMA news. For those who did not see UFC over the weekend, all right, the only one I'm really going to talk about because I loved it so much was Jessica Ai. Now, I showed the pictures. I can't show the pictures on here because of the graphic content, but Jessica Ai punched this girl so hard that her ear exploded. The cauliflower on her ear exploded, and her ear was hanging off. And I showed you the pictures on Twitter. So you saw, even after the fight, you saw her ear hanging off. It was crazy. All right? Now, Jessica Ai has been kind of in the limelight. She's still a little bit underdogish, if you ask me. She's been fighting for a while now. But I think with that fight, that puts her on the map. It really does. So, anyways, I want to move on. I want to move to more sports. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about basketball. But before we talk about basketball, let's get, once again, I told you I was going to give you two of them. Griffin Force, flop of the week when it comes to basketball.
It's a simple play where you throw the ball to the post and you make a cut and you make a split.
For those who don't understand what just happened there, Lance Stevenson was coming, trying to get around a pick and slapped himself in the face to draw a foul. You've got to be kidding me. No way is that okay. Look, Lance Stevenson, he played great defense when he played against LeBron last season. Okay, he did. But as far as I'm going to go, I do not respect this dude at all. At all now. All right? I understand he was trying to get in people's head, blowing their ear and all that kind of stuff. All right, fine. Head games, I get it. But when you slap yourself in the face to draw a foul, that is it. The NBA has a lot to work on. And this is what I mean. Obviously, fines aren't enough. You need to start suspending people and you need to start teching people to save the integrity of your sport. That is ridiculous. That is probably the top two worst flops I've ever seen in basketball. The first one still goes last year, the Flash Thompson. That's right. For those who remember with the Jedi push, when the guy stopped and he was like 4 feet away from Flash Thompson and he was like, oh, and he acted like he was taking the charge and there was no one around him. Like, that has to be the worst flop I've ever seen in my life. And this slap in the face it's literally a slap in the face to basketball, is the second worst flop I've ever seen. No way in hell is that okay. No way should that be even praised. Is it funny? Yes. Is it disrespectful? Hell yeah. That is, oh my God, I can't believe this. But speaking of Flash Thompson, okay, the Sixers. I gotta talk about the Sixers. They suck. They're horrible. They are beyond the tanking region at this point because they tanked last year, all right? When your team tanks more than 1 year, it's not tanking anymore. You just flat out suck. That's what it is. What happened to the Summer League team? Summer League team was pretty good. What happened? I don't know what's going on here. And you know what? Here's the funny part, because I'm going to keep bringing up Flash Thompson. They said on CSN that Flash Thompson, mind you, he had 10 points that game, I believe. It was 10 to 14 points. He is the poster child. This is, and I quote, he's the poster child for what the Sixers want to be. Really? He's the poster child? Is that why you're what, 0-8, 0-9 now? Is he the poster child? Is that what you're aiming for? Is that team excellent, Sixers? You have to be kidding me if you think that I'm going to sit here and support that. I do not care how bad the Sixers need a win. You call those games straight up. They got annihilated by Dallas. Alright? They got destroyed by Dallas. And what happened the next game when they played Houston? Everyone was like, well, they played better. Even the coach was like, well, they played better. Of course they played better. They scored 10 points in the first quarter against Dallas. You couldn't get any worse unless you didn't, step on the court. Don't sit here and try to, praise mediocrity. You don't do that. It's a joke. Tony Roten is also a joke. You cannot be a point guard and struggle at the free throw line. You cannot be a point guard and not have a jump shot. You cannot have, be a point guard and decide, I'm going to keep trying to slash the lane like I'm Iverson, which you are not even a poor man's version of. And then they move you to shooting guard because, Michael Carter-Williams is back, and you still play the same way. It's ridiculous. You have no court vision. You have no business being on the court. You don't. You're horrible. I don't understand why he's just going to run. Yeah, he's going to get his points. You want to know why? Because he grabs the ball, he runs down the court, and he tries to score. That's what he does. He doesn't look for anyone else. That's what he does. He puts his head down. You know what? He is the average street baller who ball hogs. That's what he is. He is not built for NBA basketball. I don't care what anybody says at this point. He is horrible. That team in general is horrible. The only shining beacons of light in that team, all right, because everyone already knows about Michael Carter-Williams. They already know about Nerlens Noel. Davies is a good acquisition. All right, he's a good player, and I'll give KJ McDaniels his due when it comes to being a good player. I know a lot of people get on Henry Sims, all right, but he still has a mid-range jump shot. I need to see more rebounding from him, but that's it. There's no one else that is stepping up, all right? Nobody. I believe that other guy, the other guy from overseas that we have, number 88, I forgot his name that quick, but he has a jump shot. I'm shocked that he's not getting more time as a spot shooter, to shoot the three. He has the highest three-point percentage, I believe, on the team right now. And the only reason that Flash Thompson has more three-pointers than him is because he gets more time, which makes no sense because he can't play any defense. But whatever. The Sixers are horrible. At this point, if they go 0-30, I wouldn't even blink. Like, they play today, don't they? They play against the Spurs. Do you think they're going to beat the Spurs? Get out of here. No way. The Sixers are a joke. They are the worst team in the NBA. They have no wins. All right? Coach got to be held accountable. I'm tired of every press conference him coming out. I'm proud of our guys. I'm proud of our guys. That's all he says, like a parrot. I'm proud of our guys. That's all it is every time. He's got to take responsibility. And management, I cannot believe that management has decided that they're going to start making demands. For those who don't know, they're demanding a helipad. And they're demanding big logos on their buildings and stuff. What have you won that you deserve this? What have you done that you deserve a helipad? You have done nothing. You've lost. That's all you've done. Win some games, then you can come talk to people about that. Win some games, then you can up the price on your merchandise. Because for those who don't know, the merchandise prices are through the roof. It's ridiculous. What have you done to set these prices? Nothing. It's a joke. The NBA in general is a joke. And I want to talk about this right now. As I said a couple weeks ago, that ESPN, that they had put out their schedule, their roster, who was going to win in the East. And I said that they had the Heat at 5. They just downgraded the Heat a lot. And I said that's a joke. They put Cleveland up top, of course, But when I went back and looked at their predictions again, the Heat aren't at 5. The Heat are at 6. That's right. So people in the East on your teams, here is the official. This is their prediction. ESPN. This is what they think is going to happen in the East. Check out where your team is. ESPN is pathetic. Matter of fact, they become so pathetic that they're making up job titles now to put people on TV. That's right. For those who didn't see what happened yesterday, they brought a guy on TV and introduced him as a predictive analytics expert. What does that mean? That means he's a professional guesser. So this clown is going to predict what the analysis is going to be without looking at anything beforehand. That's not a job. Alright, that's not. That's you guessing. That is a joke. And for you to put him on TV, oh, come on. Try harder, ESPN. See, obviously you've become too big for yourself, worldwide leader in sports. You've become so big now that you're just going to put anybody on TV and say, hey, they're going to believe you. That is a joke, and you know that. But I want to move on. More basketball. I got to talk about more basketball since I showed you the thing. The team lineup, so what they think, who's going to win and not. You should know they're going to be all over Cleveland. It's LeBron Center all day. It's not even LeBron Center. It's Cleveland Center at this point. With the Browns and the Cavs and of course the Indians coming up this season, baseball. They're going to push it to the moon, okay? But also understand that when Cleveland went in their little rut and they started losing, ESPN started bagging on them. Is it a problem in Cleveland? Is LeBron not playing up to his standards? The teammates are fighting with each other. And all this. Like, you gotta be kidding me. And this was what? When this started happening, they started saying this 4 games into the season. 4 games to a season. You know how long the season is for basketball? 4 games into the season. You're going to make this... Look, now you know how Miami fans felt when they started losing a little bit. That's what it came down to. ESPN is using every little bit to try and attract drama. And there's no reason for it. I've said this before. You do not need a story in sports. The sport itself plays out like a story when you play that game. There's high drama in the competition. That's the story. You do not need any other story other than that. But it seems like the media still has this problem where they need to do it. I don't get it. Also, Bulls fans, we got to have this talk because I'm going to end this video very soon. We need to have this talk. Derrick Rose. Now look, I'm a fan of Derrick Rose. I like Derrick Rose. I like the way he plays, everything about him, okay? However, what he has done not too long ago doesn't sit very well with me. Now, for those who don't know what happened, Derrick Rose came out and said that, he's trying to preserve himself, his health. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, he's talking playoffs, No, he's talking about in the long run when he gets old. He doesn't want to be broken down and hurt. You don't understand, Derrick Rose. This is what they pay you for, right? You understand that. To sacrifice yourself. If you're worried about your health in the long run, I suggest you quit playing basketball and go get a desk job. You've got to be kidding me. First it was his ankles that are hurt, right? This season it was his ankles. Now it's his hamstring. Now you got to be kidding me. They take him days off. They give him games off so that he doesn't have to play. And every time, I feel bad for Bulls fans. Because every time Derrick Rose jumps, this is what a Bulls fan does. This is what they do, because you don't know if he's going to get hurt again. This guy, he's becoming a problem on your team. Now, I will put it like this. Since Derrick Rose has been hurt, we've seen a number of people, pretty much raise their career to a higher level. They pretty much brought it back to life, I'll say. We saw it with Nate Robinson when he played with the Bulls. We saw it with DJ Augustine. So I think that Brooks this year, for the Bulls, is going to resurrect his career. I think he is. Because Derrick Rose can't stay on the court the entire time. He can't. He's hurt. All the time. He's a liability at this point. And I hate to say that because I like Derrick Rose. But when you're saying statements of the way that he's saying these things, it's ridiculous. Like I said, this is what you get paid millions of dollars for. You were paid, and you have a lot of guaranteed money. All right? You got a lot of sponsors. You got a lot. No, I'm sorry. I can't get with that. And I understand what he was trying to say because every athlete wants to be healthy by the time they're done their sport. I get it, all right? But you also have to understand that this is what, like I said, this is what you pay you for, man. You go all out. That's what you do. If the Bulls can, like I said before, if the Bulls can stay healthy, they can win this division. They can win the East. They can win the entire East. Because the Cavs don't have defense. I said that before. If you looked at their preseason, they weren't playing defense to save their life. They can't. They're done when it comes to defense. They're giving up, 106 points not too long ago on defense? Or something like 120, 100, something like that, I don't know. But you gotta be kidding me. They don't play defense. They got a lot of good offense, but they don't play defense. And I put it like this. Everyone likes to talk about LeBron or Kyrie Irving. You know what? You should be looking at Thompson. Just saying. He's not getting enough credit. I know you got Kevin Love as well and all those. Look, Varejao, why are you not passing the ball down to Varejao in the paint more? I don't understand it. Guy has mismatch all day. You don't pass him the ball. Y'all still take threes. And then y'all broke the record not too long ago for three-pointers. Let's get something straight here, all right? Because they talk about it. Y'all had, 19 of, what's it? Y'all shot 9 of 19 or something like that? I don't know. Look, it's ridiculous. There's no reason for the Cavs to take that many threes when you have enough inside presence to body people, especially with Varejao. And I understand they're going to say Varejao isn't the guy you really want to have the ball all the time, but when he has a mismatch in the paint, give him the damn ball. It doesn't matter who he is. It could be Thiago Splitter for all I care. All right? If there's a mismatch, you give it to the guy. It's that simple. That's what basketball is. X's and O's. But it seems like, LeBron just has to take over, or Kyrie has to take over, or Waiters has to take over. Whoever needs to take over, Love has to take over. That's what y'all banking on. Stars to take over one game at a time. Cleveland Cavaliers, learn defense, or you're not going to get anywhere. You're only going to get us so far. Especially when it comes to the postseason, because as you know, defense counts in the postseason. It really does. And I swear to God, if y'all turn into Miami with all the flopping, everywhere, this will be official, everywhere LeBron goes, it turns into flop city. And I don't want to see that. Seriously. This seems to be more of Kyrie Irving's team than it is LeBron's, but understand that when it comes down to it, they pay LeBron a lot of money to do what he does. You know what I mean? If he needs to take over. He can't keep doing this passive thing where he's like, oh, I'm going to pass the ball to this person, to that person. No, take over, LeBron. That's what he's supposed to do. That's what they pay you for. That's what people come to see. I'm not saying leave your teammates out in the fray. No, of course. Your teammates are going to get theirs, regardless. Because we saw it in the first couple games. LeBron was just sitting on the sideline like, whatever, they don't want me to play. I'm just going to sit here on the side. I'm open, but I'm not, they're going to shoot the ball anyway. That's how he was. Like, you got to be kidding me. At the end of the day, Kyrie Irving is going to shoot that ball if he needs to. All right? And he's trying to say, even in the press, I said in the press that, the teammates got to learn that they can't win this way. They're stuck in their ways. Well, you left Cleveland, so they had to find a way to try to win. That's what it comes down to. It's not about, get on your page. It's not about that. But it goes to show you, if these guys got to talk to the media in order to get through to each other instead of talking to each other in the locker room, there is a problem. And like I said, everything will probably be fine while they're winning. When they start losing, that's where you're going to see the problem again. Anyways, I'm done, man. Like I said, I don't feel good. I don't care, man. I don't feel good. I can feel it. Anyways, hopefully I can get to a gameplay. It was a video game video tomorrow. I got to hit the gym, try to get a little bit better, man. This is crazy. I will talk to y'all then. Y'all be safe. I'm out.